So thank you, folks, for watching. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching The Political Vigilante, and we're here with Lilly from the podcast Talk Crypto to Me. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about was obviously every day it seems like there's new stuff unfolding with regard to the FTX scandal. The most recent thing, and I'm going to share this article with people real quick just so they can see what's happening, is... where is that? Sorry, that was here. Yes, this is what we want to share. I want to show everybody this article. So this is in the street. FTX collapse. Binance, largest crypto exchange, is now under investigation. The bankruptcy of the FTX cryptocurrency exchange is pushing regulators to increase their scrutiny of the crypto space. And currently they're being investigated by an agency within Singapore. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, obviously this has impacted the crypto market and possibly even traditional markets as well. How do you see this? Well, let me ask you that. Let me start with this question first. Let's go to the tough question first. So as it's becoming now, Binance is being investigated. Do you, as somebody that follows this space and seeing this all kind of unravel, and some other exchanges have had some problems, how bad do you think this is? I mean, are we going to find out there was way more corruption than is initially thought? I mean, how do you see this in terms of just
the hard, really tough thing that with the crypto industry is that it's not regulated, that it's decentralized, there hasn't been as much legislation, it's a new industry. I think people really forget that. Like, if you look back at the history of money, it's been around thousands of years. Things have gone wrong, we've learned from it, we've transitioned into new systems. Things always go wrong, and as humans, we have to adapt, we have to take that on board. And I think things like this happening, people feel so shocked. They look at the crypto industry and they panic and they think, oh, God, it's a scam. There's so many issues in the industry. And it's like, of course there's issues, because we haven't got a framework for the crypto world at the moment. We're still learning, we're still growing. So there's things like this, it's gonna happen. You know, things go wrong in every industry. If you look at Forex brokers, there's always that industry's been around for years, yet there's still always small little issues. People do things a bit wrong. People need to learn from them, and then we move on. And I think that's the stage that we're in at the moment, that, you know, it's tough being someone in the crypto industry, and being someone that loves talking about crypto. It's actually been quite a tough time, because, you know, you mentioned crypto at the moment and everyone's faces just go, oh God, like, oh no, this is not the time. Lily, be quiet. Like, we don't want to hear about crypto at the moment. So, you know, you're sort of treading on eggshells a little bit, but I think it's just, we don't want the industry to have too many issues. We want people to remain positive and realize that all these sort of new rules need to come in place. It's almost a good thing. It's pushed things to move a bit quicker, to mean that maybe the different jurisdictions will be forced to actually put rules in quicker than they were going to do before, because they've been taking their time, they've been plodding along. You know, places like the UK, which have the Bank of England, they don't want to adopt this very quickly. They're taking their time. We have a large banking system. So now they've sort of been forced that they've got to start making these changes. They've got to actually put rules in place to make sure that crypto is protected, make sure that people are protected. So, of course, I see the negatives, but there's always positives as well.
Yeah, so it is. I think I hear this echoed a lot, and I tend to agree as well, that there needs to be some type of regulation in this space for two reasons. One, just to avoid scams and problems and people losing their money. But also, when you put the regulation in place, then it's going to make the regular consumer investor who's sitting there going, I was thinking about investing in crypto, but now it seems like a scam, because we all know that adoption, we're still in the very early stages of adoption. When we still have people that are like, I don't know, move it to a cold wallet. What does that mean? And I mean, I've been telling my audience that for 2 years, and I was like, this FTX thing is an example why. and I had some on BlockFi, but I pulled it off in the summer, and I'm glad that I did. BlockFi got frozen. So I think, the regulation will make just average, want to put a couple $1,000s of their investments into crypto, which when everybody, obviously the big institutional money pouring in is what has driven the price up.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to why I think that also might be why Bitcoin hasn't dropped even further at this point. But obviously the big thing is we want all the institutional money to come in, and then we want just average people, average investors to come in. So I think the regulation can help in that regard. But where do you see this in terms of specifically Sam Bankman-Fried? Like, I don't even know if he's been arrested or detained, or, I mean, I hear all these agencies are trying to find him.
Yeah, you hear all of the rumors and you're sort of wondering what is going on. And I think, I mean, obviously it does fall on him. He is the founder of FTX. He is the person that's let some of these things potentially slide. Obviously, it's an overall systematic thing. There's obviously got to be flaws within the system that they created. They've definitely allowed things to happen which within anyone that's within the finance industry would be like, what are you doing? Why have you done this? But again, as I say, I think that's the important thing that you're saying. Like, it's all about decentralization. When you have an overarching person, as with any of these exchanges, you have to be aware that things can go wrong. And decentralization is the important thing of you taking control of your money. So having things like cold wallets are so important because it actually encourages decentralization. These sort of platforms and exchanges move away from that in a small way, and you are having this power within every single exchange. So yes, it should fall to him. Yes, he's got a lot to answer for, and it'll be exciting, really, in my opinion, to hear what he has to say, what changes he thinks needs to be made in the industry. I mean, whether or not he comes out and says anything, or he's just going to hide away and disappear and never going to be seen again, will be an interesting one. But yeah, I just think as an industry, we all have to, rally behind it and educate people, explain to people why things like this happen, why things go wrong. Like I was saying about the history of money, highlighting the fact that there's always issues in any industry, whether it be the banking industry, whether it be real estate. There's always scams, there's always problems, and you can't always just highlight one example as being the whole industry, because although with this news with Binance now having to have an investigation, but of course it was going to happen, you've got to investigate, because you need to check what's going on with all of the exchanges and make sure that everyone is operating in the best possible way.
Do you think that Sam Bankman-Fried, the more I look at this guy, I have a hard time, and then New York Times put that very softball piece out. I have a hard time believing that he was just this sort of like, oh, whoops, made a mistake. Golly gee, I'm this nerdy guy that made a mistake. It seems a little more calculated to me. What is your take on that?
I mean, in my opinion, I sort of believe that if you're the founder of any company, you definitely should know what's going on behind the scenes, and you should also realize that of small flaws, well, not even small flaws, huge flaws which are going on. If you're staking against your own coins and your own tokens are taking control of liquidity, I think for anyone in the industry, he's an intelligent guy. I mean, you can't really just sit there and say, oh, I didn't quite realize what we were up to in the background, oh, my staff are not really doing a good job. I mean, it falls on you. No matter what, you're the person that people come to and look to for owning the company. So you can't really ever put it in anyone else's hands. And maybe it will force now anyone that owns a business within crypto to really look at their operations, really not take any sort of backseat. I mean, if we're believing he has taken a backseat, then every single person that's in the crypto industry has to take responsibility for what they're creating, what they're putting to market, and making sure that there aren't as minimal flaws as possible. Like I say, there's always going to be examples of this sort of thing. There's always going to be ups and downs in any industry, but every single person that's involved in that should take responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, all of these other exchanges, BlockFi being one of them, that had exposure to FTX, you know, I hope it's a lesson for all of them to just like, oh, this FTX, they seem like a hot company. Let's all just go into business with them and let them monitor or, you know, control some of our assets. And then, oh, gee, we didn't know what they were doing with our assets behind closed doors.
Due diligence is so important. I mean, actually, I come from a financial background, and I actually did due diligence for 3 years, and it is so important if you're going into
just
business
froze up.
with a company. Or have I froze?
No, you're good now. You're good now. You can go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah, if you're going into business with a company, if you're planning
you froze
on
again.
working. Oh no! Don't freeze. That's annoying.
Yeah, you're frozen again. Give me the thumbs up, Lily, when you think you got it. All right, we got the thumbs up from Lily. Let's get back into it, folks. Hey.
Perfect. I'm back. I'm hoping it's working. I'm using my phone, but you know, at least like you can hear me a bit.
That's good. I've had my audience is very familiar with tech issues with this show. I've had a lot of tech issues.
It always happens. It always happens to me. It's just like, no, your microphone can no longer connect. I was like, it was connected 2 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago. Like it just stops. It just
so annoying. But you know, I'm back, so it's all good.
Okay. So I want to pick this back up with you, Lily. You were saying we were talking about the other, I was really like Sam Bankman-Fried, whether it sounds like he was being corrupt. I don't know. And people working within him, maybe the whole organization was corrupt. I don't know. But the thing you brought up is companies need to do their due diligence, like BlockFi and other exchanges that were having assets under management with FTX. That seems like that was on them for just jumping in. And I'm reminded of the .com boom 20 years ago when all this money came flowing in and everyone was like, oh, this new website's going to blow up. And people were just throwing money at stuff. And some people were getting rich quick. And some people, then con artists show up, and then people just like they're running into a casino with a fistful of money, hoping to make themselves rich. So explain, as somebody, and you can give us a quick background on your background in finance, what the due diligence should look like in general, and what maybe some of these companies should have done.
I mean, it's what happens in every single traditional banking system. Due diligence always happens when people are going to do some sort of M&A, or they're going to purchase a company, or going to do business with a company. You want to make sure the structure of that company is legitimate. You need to look into their books, look into their operations, look into the people that are within the business. You know, you would interview CEOs, you would interview a whole range of people within the business. You understand their operations, what they're doing. Do they fit in with the rules that are in place? That's the hard bit within crypto, is actually deciding what rules are we checking for, what legislations should be in place theoretically that we need to implement. But it really is just doing a deep dive into that company and making sure that you feel comfortable doing business with that company. So someone like FTX, how, you know, no one within the industry has flagged this sooner or said, you know, there's issues, there's things that you guys need to change, what feedback was given, all these questions. Or maybe there has been, and you know, it hasn't come to light and it's been swept under the carpet. That's the other option, is maybe they haven't received this feedback in the past and they've just been avoiding it, and now it comes to light that they needed to take action sooner. So due diligence is super important within any industry. And yeah, I mean, as I say, it's existed in finance for many, many years, and it's just the done thing within any business. So maybe we really needed to implement this a lot more within the crypto world, and start bringing on board more due diligence.
Yeah, because $32 billion is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And seeing Bitcoin, you know, get crushed like this. But I wanted to ask you this question as well. Well, first of all, tell us your background in finance. How did you, hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood. I'm here with Lily from Talk Crypto to Me podcast. Tell us, everybody, your history of finance, and then how you got into crypto specifically.
Okay, yes, this is an interesting one. So actually, I have a chemistry degree, so I have quite an analytical mindset. And then I didn't want to work in labs. I wanted to use my analysis mind in order to do something different. So I moved into actually due diligence specifically. For around 3 years, I worked as a consultant for lots of different banks. And really in that time, I got to see a lot of businesses. I got to interview lots of CEOs about their businesses. And you do start sort of seeing the flaws in the traditional system, why the banking system has so many issues, how archaic it is. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how they just have the same systems, and it's been going for so many years. And of course that's great. As I say, it brings lots of positivity in the fact that it's easy to conduct due diligence because it's been done before, it's done a million times, but there's zero creativity, there's zero innovation. It's just such an old structure. So I left the industry, as I say, after around 3 years of just not really feeling like I fit in either. Every time I would question something, it was like, well, just go back to the systems we already have in place. You can't question it. We're not making changes. God forbid you want to change one of our systems. That cannot happen. So I decided to go down a slightly different path in what I was doing, which was going to be more educating people around their finances, around everyday living, of how people could live a more sort of like educated lifestyle. There's so many different things that we don't understand when we move into the more adult world and trying to explain to people about finances. And then, hey presto, something pops up called crypto, which really was at the forefront for me of being innovation, of trying to change the industry. I just found it fascinating. It was just as lockdown was beginning that I was discovering crypto, and I could start trading it in my spare time and understanding it more. And then as we came out of lockdown, I could finally get to talk to people and I get to do interviews, and then hence why Talk Crypto to Me came about, because I was aware I was relatively new in that industry, and so I wanted just to ask people questions about cryptos, sort of ask the everyday person what they're wondering, ask these specialists, ask the crypto influencers, everyone, why this industry is so important, why things are moving forward in the industry. So over time, that's sort of how it all evolved, is just me being inquisitive, me wanting to ask questions, and then getting to interview really cool, interesting people who have made a massive change in the space. So yeah, as I say, within this industry, it's always changing, and that's what I love about it. I love the fact that I hit all these different news stories break. When does this ever happen in the banking world? It was boring. There's nothing ever changing. There's nothing ever going on. Like now we get to talk about this sort of stuff because, as I say, because it's a new industry, because there's not as many things in place. And in a weird way, that excites me. I mean, obviously, I feel awful for the people that lose money and, the issues that come about. But at the same time, it almost keeps you interested in the industry. It makes you really question a lot of things, which for me was always important. I mean, I wanted to move away from something which was a centralized system that had nothing that could be changed into something which can be molded, adopted. It's meant to be the people's currency. It's meant to be something which people actually understand and have control of, and that's the hardest bit, and that's what I want to be there to help guide people through why this technology is so important.
Yeah. And I think, you bring up a great point, is the reticence of the traditional banking and finance industry to change and just sort of like, this is the way we've always done it. Part of that, in my opinion, is we don't want everybody to understand how the system works. We want to keep people in the dark. Here in America, we are not taught any sort of financial education at all. None. And it's by design, in my opinion. They want us just get a job, go into debt, work for some company and don't understand it. And maybe, have a little 401k or something, or a money market account through your job or whatever, rather than understand how the markets work. And like you say, crypto, there's a lot of interesting projects in the altcoin space. Some of them are, risky scams, whatever, but there's also some really interesting uses of the technology, which is exciting to me, how it can change stuff. How blockchain technology can be used for any number of things. As an entertainer, I like the NFT idea because I can make a piece of art or whatever, and then every time it's sold, I get a piece of it as somebody that's made movies and had distributors distribute them. And then they just come back and go, oh yeah, your movie didn't make any money. And I'm like, how do I know that? Well, because we told you. And it's like, and so I see the uses of the technology that are exciting. And that's why, you know, when I started doing this show about 5.5 years ago, very political. And I started learning more about crypto 2.5 years ago. Similar thing. I had some crypto. I didn't quite understand it because the platform Rockfin that I'm on pays us in their token, the Ray token. And I was like, whatever. And then the pandemic hit. I lost all my tour dates. I started live streaming 5 days a week. And a friend of mine was like, you know, all those coins you have, they used to be worth 17 cents. Now they're worth $1. And I was like, oh, really? And then I started studying more about it and learning. And so Bitcoin, I really like just from a enabling political standpoint. But I want to ask you this question, because with the FTX, so there's a sort of perfect storm happening. There's the FTX thing that just happened. That started, I think, November 11th. America and most of the world are in recession and inflation. And I think America we have a housing bubble. We're facing like we could have a serious economic meltdown. With all of that happening right now, I've read some articles and some people saying that Bitcoin should have gone lower, but the Bitcoin and Ethereum specifically, a lot of these other altcoins have just been crushed because of this FTX thing. But it's interesting. Even yesterday, Bitcoin and Ethereum were kind of going down, but they wouldn't break past, Bitcoin wouldn't break past 15,000 or 15.5 even, and Ethereum wouldn't go below 1,000. Do you think that those two coins are strong enough? Or that, I mean, like, I know you don't like to get into a lot of price prediction, the little crystal ball stuff, but I mean, do you see that as the reason they could have gone a lot lower, but because those two are more like stronger, people have more confidence?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a resilience behind it. And I also think within the industry, I think I was discussing this with Carl actually, and Da Vinci, who's another big crypto influencer over here, is that we were just saying that, you know, if Bitcoin fails, the whole industry fails. It's the pinnacle point. For us, if you're within the industry, it really is. I mean, it's what people know of cryptocurrency. When you mention crypto, the first thing that comes to people's minds is Bitcoin. So if that fails and that goes wrong, the whole industry then will be questioned massively. And I think everyone would lose faith. So ultimately them two tokens are, for me, for everyone, are the most important. So seeing resilience of them is actually very important, because as you say, in times of, you know, lack of resilience across recessions, across the cost of living issues, as I say, being from London myself, all I hear is, when I go talk about home, is just negativity, how many issues there are across the UK, and how people just don't have money to spend at the moment, and our currency is actually very weak at the moment. So I think that these tokens actually give a lot of light to people. They allow people to have hope almost in a future. And as you say, in technology, I think that's one of the most critical points that anyone can understand, is when we're talking about cryptocurrency, it is not just some sort of cash token. It's that there's so much to it. The blockchain technology is incredible, and that will be the future. Most things will be run off of it. Web3 is the future. Web3 will require tokenization. Tokenization is related to crypto. It's an ecosystem which is required, is going to be the future. So even when we're talking about, you know, times of issues, exchanges, this is actually just a very small part of what we're talking about, because exchanges are very similar in my mind to forex platforms, things like that, which have issues. But actually the fundamentals of currency is not quite the same as the fundamentals of cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency has so many other facets that are available. You're going to have things like smart contracts. Their importance is way bigger than just currency, just fluctuations up and down. The long-term impact of it is incredible. And that's a huge point that I always want to make to people, is if you understand Web3, you'll actually understand the industry more and the importance of all these different tokens. When people think, oh, well, this token's gone down, it's irrelevant. If that has a great utility, it's not irrelevant. It's just maybe every market is struggling right now. But if it has a strong underlying utility in the real world, within Web3, within the blockchain, they're the sort of tokens that really going forward will also be extremely important.
I mean, how do you see, where do you see the market and crypto in general going from here with this FTX and the economy? Where do you see it going from here?
I mean, I think the next year is going to be very tough in every industry. I think across the board, there's going to be a lot of issues. We're going to see a lot of dropouts in different companies, not just in crypto, probably far beyond crypto, where there's going to be people struggling. There's going to be, I have friends that work in retail and stuff like that, and they're just telling me that, there's not loads of businesses are probably going to fail. It's not just crypto that has this, but I think the interesting bit is understanding that there is so much potential. Maybe it's not going to be this year. Maybe, people would come up with predictions saying, oh, within the next year, Bitcoin is going to hit 20,000 again, it's going to hit 30,000, or we could see it hitting 50,000. To me, that's relatively irrelevant. I'm looking at the bigger picture of the next 10 years when we're actually utilizing this a lot more. Living in Dubai, we can start paying for things in crypto. You can buy houses here in crypto. You can buy cars here in crypto. It's very forward thinking. And when you can start doing that, it adds so much value to cryptocurrency, because it means that I can start everyday things. If I want to buy a property, I can use crypto. It's instantaneous transactions. It's quick. It doesn't require as many difficulties and obstacles as it does purchasing in fiat money. And also, it just, as soon as you can make it great for an end consumer, it opens the industry up a lot. So I think that's the thing. We're in the early infantile days. These things are going to be changing a lot. We're going to be having conversations like this many times in the next year where things have gone slightly wrong. But it's thinking about the bigger picture of, if you can start spending in it, if I can start going to the shop and using cryptocurrency, it becomes a lot more relatable to the usual person, which means we tap into a new market. So the more we make it more mainstream, the more people will adopt to it, and the more people will join in with understanding cryptocurrencies.
Okay, that sounds. Yeah, I agree with most of that. I really think that there is a lot of potential here. The fallout from this FTX, who knows? But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a little skeptical of the altcoins, but I've actually been buying Bitcoin during this dip. I mean, because it's I even if Bitcoin drops to 10,000, it'll still eventually get to 50 or 100,000 in the next 2-3 years, 5 years.
Exactly. I mean, it's thinking long. You've got to think long term. As I say, with anything at the moment, really, if you're holding any currency, anything, you're going to be thinking long term. You're not really doing short term trading at the moment. It's not that easy. And I did start with doing, day trading within the crypto world, but now for me, it's just understanding and educating people, helping them to understand why this is so important, why they need to understand it, why they need to understand money in general. Like you say, the education isn't there. So if we can use this, this sort of technologies and platforms to really explain to people about taking control of their money, I think it's incredibly important for people.
Okay. Any other crypto shows or places people you would suggest as a research, tools for people to get more knowledgeable?
Obviously, you've always got things going up on YouTube. I think it's important to look to some of the crypto influencers, but also not to always question what people are saying, because people have reasons within the industry to promote certain stuff. They have reasons to, if they're making predictions, that always for me is quite a red flag, because I just think markets are very unpredictable. Unless these people are incredible traders with years of knowledge within the industry, would I trust them to listen to, oh wow, this indicator shows that the market's going to That sort of person I don't trust. Listen to people that want to talk about technology, that want to actually talk about innovation, believe in what's going on, and have, can analyze things in an interesting way. Don't listen to people that are going to try and predict markets, because honestly, as you said earlier, I always say this: I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's coming next. I'm not a trader myself. I don't have a trading background, so really be careful who you listen to, and just really want to know more about the technology behind it.
Excellent. Well, folks, where can they listen to Talk Crypto with me or watch it?
So Talk Crypto to Me is on YouTube. I obviously have my Instagram account as well, which is just my name, Lilly Douse. And I'm always, as I say, I'm always just talking about crypto and trying to talk about new projects as well. I'm trying to explain to people new projects that which will be coming out in the crypto space, not necessarily just cryptocurrency, but just talking about, as you say, blockchain, how the blockchain can be important, whether it be play to earn. We're talking about the metaverse as well. So really future thinking. Like I said, I'm getting away from archaic systems, and it's all about the future on my channel.
Real quick before you go, what projects are you looking at right now, or should we be looking at?
I think really understanding the metaverse, understanding that it's not some scary virtual world where we're literally just going to live in a bubble and be wearing glasses. If that's how you see the metaverse, and you really need to take a step away from that and just understanding how much it's just going to supplement the real world. We evolve as human beings. Technology evolves. This is the next step of evolution within the technological space. Get with it, understand what's coming, and understand what projects are going to be big, because that has a lot of potential. If you're looking as an investor, maybe the markets are not what you need to be changed. Like maybe it's making investments into these certain projects.
Excellent. Well, Lilly, thank you so much for your time. I thank you for getting up early Dubai time to come on the show. We really appreciate it. Hope to have you back on to talk more crypto, because
yes, definitely, Graham. When, as we say, when something else news breaks or something starts going wrong again, get me back, and we can bring some positivity to the space, because I think right now that is what we all need.
Cool. Yeah, and if you ever want me to come on your show, I can talk about crypto from a lefty comedian standpoint.
Graham, that sounds great. Yeah, we'll have to have a proper Talk Crypto to Me session.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Lilly.
Amazing. Thank you, Graham. Have a good day. Bye.
All right,
bye, guys.
All right, everybody, check out her show, Talk Crypto to Me. Really appreciate her coming on the show and spending her time to do that. And it's good to hear what you guys had to say. Yeah, her show is called Talk Crypto to Me. And her name is Lilly Douse, Douse. It's in the title of the show. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. We are still in our 9th month of demonetization from YouTube. So support what we're doing at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's free to sign up, and there's a premium level at $10 a month. And for that, you get everybody on the platform's premium content. Myself, Lee Camp, Ron Placone, Jimmy Dore, Whitney Webb, Kim Iverson, Abby Martin, and many, many others. You can also support what we're doing at Venmo at Graham-Elwood, and go to grahamelwood.com. We have a PayPal button and a PO box. I also have crypto wallets, which are all in the show notes. Thanks for supporting what we do.